this is a slightly different video than you are probably used to, but I do hope that this is beneficial for a lot of you in a completely different way. As you are watching this now, you know me as Zoe. I write a blog and I'm on my Twitter a lot, and I like all things materialistic. But what you don't often see is a different side of me, which I will begin to explain in this video. That kind of makes it sound like I have some scary alter ego and that at night I turn into a werewolf, or I am in fact a vampire or something really weird, but it's not of that nature, although that would be very cool. And it is a very personal video for me to sit down and talk to you about. I've never really addressed this issue in front of hundreds of thousands of people, but I'm going to pretend there are not hundreds of thousands of people watching right now. If this helps at least one of you watching this, just one of you, then it's totally worth it, and I'm 100% happy that I've managed to help. A lot of people get the assumption that because someone is able to sit here in front of a camera and speak for 10 to 20 minutes and broadcast it in front of hundreds and thousands, potentially millions of people on the internet, that must mean that they are 100% confident, have absolutely no self-esteem issues, have no real life problems, they're always happy, they're always jolly. That is so wrong. There are a lot more things to people than you might first realise. And what a lot of you may not know is that I have suffered with anxiety and panic attacks really, really badly since I was 14, making that a grand total of 9 years almost. A while ago, if any of you read my blog, I did a whole write-up about panic attacks and all the information around that, but I figured that I wanted to make a video because that blog post helped so many of you. I still get emails daily from people saying, I'm so glad I'm not the only person that has this, thank you so much. And it just made me think, although it's going to be absolutely terrifying to sit and talk about it out of my mouth rather than just typing, if my blog post helped people, then maybe if I did a video it might help people too. So I am going to sit here, regardless of the fact it makes me feel extremely uncomfortable and it's not something I really enjoy discussing with hundreds of thousands of people, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you are now sat here wondering what a panic attack is or what anxiety is, I will try and explain it the best way I can. I did explain it in a lot more detail and probably a lot more thoroughly on my blog, but I will try my best. I don't know exactly what triggered my panic attacks, although I have a rough idea that it may have had something to do with being at a party, being surrounded by a lot of drunk people. I didn't like being in the space. I wanted to get away and I just had a full-on panic attack. That was the first panic attack I'd ever had. It lasted from 11 PM at night until 5 AM in the morning in bursts. The thing with panic attacks is that they happen within 5 to 25 minutes. I think 25 minutes is literally the maximum amount of time that you can ever panic for, like full-on panic. And I was having bursts of panic all around the clock until 5 AM when I rang my dad and I made him come and get me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the symptoms, what happens to you, and if this sounds like something that might be happening to you as well, then I hope this can kind of reaffirm things in your head and maybe help you as well. So the first thing that happens when you panic, you don't really ever know what you're panicking for. You don't always choose what makes you panic. Your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, so it's basically called the fight or flight. The best way of me describing this to you is your body sets itself up to either run away or to fight the problem. I think it kind of dates back to like caveman days where a wild boar would approach a caveman and he would think, I can either run away or I can fight the wild boar. So, okay, you're not going to be addressed with wild boars in this day and age, but if your body thinks it's in any kind of danger, regardless of whether you are or not, it will kick in. A lot of people who suffer with anxiety and panic attack just have a much weaker sympathetic nervous system. I was told that you're almost like the car in the street whose car alarm goes off from a little gust of wind, unlike all the other cars in the street whose car alarms will only ever go off when someone's smashing the window. Once your sympathetic nervous system has kicked in, it sets things off like adrenaline, Adrenaline will be released around your body. Because of the adrenaline, you will sweat, but you'll be cold. I get hot shivers. Other things that happen are you lose feeling in your hands and your feet. You feel very claustrophobic. When I panic, I have to get out of any situation that I'm in. I don't like people around me. You feel smothered. Sounds and smells become heightened. Everything's louder, everything's busier, everything smells really bad. All your senses are like, this is horrible. I also feel very, very sick when I panic, and this is because your digestive system shuts down, making you feel sick because things are not working as they're supposed to be working in your stomach, and it can make your throat feel dry, it can make you heave, your heart's beating really fast, some people think they're going to have a heart attack, you feel as though there's no air, you can hyperventilate because you're breathing funny. All these things building up and up and up, and you can't cope basically, and that is a panic attack. Panic attacks are really not very nice. I wouldn't even wish one on my worst enemy, and I don't really have any enemies to wish them on, but I wouldn't, because it's not a nice feeling, and it is something that prevents you being able to do the things you really want to do, which is the overall really horrible thing about it. Then it results in you feeling depressed, you feel like you're not normal. I used to just get so upset. After every single panic attack, you just feel like absolute crap. You feel drained mentally, you feel drained physically because your heart's been beating so fast. You literally feel like you've run a marathon, but then you have to kind of deal with the fact that this is probably going to happen again, and this is going to stop me from doing the things that I really want to do, which is the worst part of it. I not only had panic attacks, but I had panic disorder, which is where you stop doing things in case you think you're going to have a panic attack. So some people may just have one panic attack and think that was a bit odd, didn't really like that, but carry on as normal and maybe never have a panic attack ever again. Whereas I was the sort of person that would have a panic attack and think, oh my gosh, that was really horrible, now I'm terrified of doing that and I won't do it. The reason for people having panic attacks in situations where they've been before is because the brain stores away the information as a dangerous situation. So if you walk into a nightclub and you have a panic attack and you freak out, the next time you walk into a nightclub, it's very likely that the same thing is going to happen because your brain triggers the same reaction. It's very clever. The brain is very, very clever. It's also kind of annoying at times. So it will store away the information, and that's why a lot of people will have panic attacks in the same place. For a while, I would always have a panic attack in Paddington train station, because every time I got there, the same trigger was set off in my brain that made me think I was in danger, when in actual fact I wasn't, and it was almost expected, and because you expect it, it's worse, and that's why it's a vicious circle. I used to get them really, really badly. There was a stage in my life very recently, I went through a really hard time and my panic attacks were really bad, almost to the point where I didn't even want to get out of bed. I wouldn't go on the trains, I wouldn't go to meetings in London, I wouldn't go see friends, I would never eat out in a restaurant because I was worried that I'd panic and I wouldn't be able to get out. I wouldn't ever go clubbing, no way, that would be completely off the cards. It even got to the point where I didn't want to drive, which is really not good, and there are so many different places where I would just panic for no reason. Trains, the tube, in taxis. I used to refuse to get in taxis, on buses, coaches, any kind of form of public transport I wouldn't get on. Waiting for things, that seems kind of odd, but if you're watching this and you have panic attacks, you know exactly what I mean. You know you have to wait and it starts making you anxious. Places where you feel like you can't leave, like hairdressers, for example, and waiting for doctor's appointments, like sat in the waiting room. I used to have them at school, in sixth form. I'd have them at family parties where there'd be like 7 of us. I would sometimes even have them lying in bed at night, just for no reason. Work dues, I'd be like, no, sorry, I don't really want to go, and it just makes you appear rude, and you're thinking, please don't hate me, it's not something that I really want, it's not something I enjoy, and I would much rather be completely normal and be able to go and eat out in a restaurant and not care that I might have a panic attack and have to leave. I missed out on a lot of things that I would have normally been doing as a young adult. There was just one period in my life where I was just like, no, I'm not doing anything, and I think that was like the most depressing for like other people around me. I know that Louise was like, I don't like this, you're not happy anymore. It's almost like